mic is not high enough or that my headphones are not high enough? What am I missing here? Music needs to go down, that's for sure. And then I guess this kind of sounds okay. It sounds a little wrong though. Sounds got the mic really jammed there. Maybe it's just the headphones. All right. Hey, what's up? I'm injured, man. This sucks. So I mentioned it yesterday, but it was no big deal yesterday. And now 2 days later, I fell on ice the other day. No like head injury, no breakage, nothing major. Brush burn on my knee that's gross, but it's fine. Didn't even rip my pants. Like everything seemed kind of okay. Once I was lying on the ground on the street, in pain, I kind of assessed it and realized, yeah, this is okay. It's fine. Get back up, drive home. But here we are, 48 hours later. Not quite 48 hours, but this happened at 8 o'clock on Sunday night. I went and picked up my kid from my cousin's house, and then I fell in the street, slipped on ice. My knee was all bloody and gross. But that's okay. I'm not going to put that on camera, but it looks gross. But it's, whatever. It's a brush burn, essentially. But today I woke up and I can't move, man. So I Googled, why am I more sore 2 days after falling than I was yesterday? And here's what it told me. It says you're likely more sore 2 days after your fall because inflammation peaks around 24 to 72 hours post-injury. Now, this is something I told my oldest son, Zach, about because he tried out for his school basketball team this year. And I said, it's going to suck. You're going to hate it. You're going to run way more than you want to. And the next day you're going to get up and you're going to be sore and you have to do it again. But it's really the third day, from my recollection from basketball tryouts when I was in high school. The day 3 is when you just can't move. I've never looked it up. I've never been interested in enough, to seek out actual scientific information on whether or not what I'm saying is true. But I had to look it up today, partially because I'm old. Today is the oldest I've ever been, and also the oldest I've ever felt. So I don't know, in terms of, I'm 51. I turned 51 in November. So now I'm like 51 plus almost 2 months. And this is the oldest I've ever been. I don't know what you guys are up to, what kind of day you're having, whether or not today's the oldest that you've ever been. But speaking like personally, this is the oldest I've ever been, and the worst I've ever felt. Inflammation peaks around 24 to 72 hours post-injury, and your body's natural pain-masking adrenaline is worn off. Yeah, definitely. I've got no adrenaline. None. I've got coffee. It's worn off, revealing deeper micro damage to muscles, ligaments, or tissues, a normal part of healing that intensifies soreness before improving. That's the phase I'm in. Reasons for increasing soreness. Inflammation cascade. After an injury, your body sends fluids and white blood cells to the area, causing swelling and pressure on nerves, which increases pain over time, peaking in days 2 to 3. Yep, here we are. Adrenaline wears off. High stress moments release adrenaline, masking pain initially. Once it fades, the true discomfort emerges. Here's what I know about adrenaline, also related to basketball. I've always found it super interesting and crazy that, like, you're playing basketball, right? And you go up for a rebound, you step on somebody's foot, and your ankle turns. And it's horrible. Your leg doesn't work anymore. Except if you're trying to play basketball, then it works fine. But then when you try to get back on defense, if you're just casually getting back, if you're running, it's fine. But the second you're not like really trying to do something, it's awful. It's so bizarre. I've always found that to be such a weird phenomenon that I've attributed always to adrenaline. I don't know, physiologically how adrenaline works, but it has always seemed to me that if I'm trying to do something, I don't have time to think about pain, and then the ankle works fine. And then if the whistle blows and we're waiting around for a free throw, suddenly I can't walk again. It's so weird. But I feel like this is an extension of that. It's basically that. Like, When it was actual pain, I was fine. Now that my knee doesn't really hurt, I know there's a problem there. But now the rest of it. Now it's like, oh, I didn't realize I had like muscles in my butt. You know, like both sides. The whole thing, it's killing me, man. The adrenaline's gone. High stress moments release adrenaline, masking pain. Once it fades, the true discomfort emerges. Should be the new name of the show. True discomfort emerges. Micro damage. Falls cause tiny tears in muscles and fibers. Yep. Leading to soreness as the body works to repair them. They call that DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. And then it says hidden soft tissue injuries. Damage to muscles, tendons, or ligaments might not be obvious at first, but worsen as inflammation builds. So that's where I am. That's what you've tuned into today. And I thank you for doing that. But, dude, this is not cool. This is not cool at all. When to see a doctor? That's a good question. I don't like my doctor. I have a new doctor, and I don't like him. I saw him once. I might be in the market for a new doctor. If you got any good doctors out there want to deal with this, deal with whatever I got going on, get in touch, because I don't know to come to you. And I don't like the new guy. My old guy retired. I got a thing in the mail. It said I'm no longer connected insurance-wise to my primary care physician or whatever. And I was like, oh, no. What did I do? Did I make him mad? It turns out I didn't make him mad. He's just done. So he's retired. So they just gave me some other guy. And I don't necessarily need my doctor to be older than me. But something about him being 20 years younger than me is just, I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't fit. I don't have the same amount. He's probably better. He's probably better than the guy that retired, right? He's probably much more up to speed on current treatments and practices and policies and drugs and all this. He's probably better, but I just don't want him. I need somebody old. At least I need somebody like at least my age-ish. Okay, a 50-year-old doctor sounds right to me. A 32-year-old doctor, no. And I don't know how old he is. He could be 40, but he could be 26. Like, I don't know, man. I don't want that. So anyway, I'm not going to go to a doctor because I don't feel like I have a doctor, and this is not an emergency. This is just me feeling old and sore, like I got run over by a tractor trailer a couple times while I was sleeping last night. Like that I woke up today thinking I was in an accident. I was hit by a truck, it seems. And it's fine. I'm exaggerating a little to make the point. But everything hurts, man. Everything. And that's not cool. So here's when it tells me to see a doctor. Pain that is sharp, severe, or doesn't improve within a few days. None of this is sharp. None of it's severe. All of it sucks. But this is not doctor time. Numbness, tingling, or radiating pain. Nope. Just general soreness. Just generally feeling like I was in a fist fight with a rhinoceros. I don't know. Like something. It's bad. I don't like it. Dizziness, no. Severe headaches, no. Cognitive changes. My brain barely works anyway. How would I even notice that? Difficulty walking or moving. That always exists. The walking, the moving, it all hurts. It all sucks. In summary, the worsening soreness is a common sign of the healing process. Good to know. But monitor your symptoms closely and seek medical advice if you have any concerns about a more significant injury. All right, I will. I don't know who I'd seek it from because I don't like my doctor. I don't even know his name. Went to him once. We were 5 minutes into the appointment, and I thought, I'm not coming to this guy again. No way. I still might because I'm lazy and not interested in seeking anyone else out. So that could happen. The Sabres won again? The Sabres have won 9 consecutive games. The hockey team in town. The hockey team I have felt comfortable ignoring for the duration of my children's lives because they haven't been in the playoffs the whole time. I've got a 13-year-old son who is 6'2" and weighs 200 pounds. And the Sabres have not played a playoff game in his lifetime. So as a family, we have chosen to ignore that team. And I've always said, I'll come back when they do something. They are currently, even with another win, they're tied points-wise for a playoff spot, but they're not in a playoff spot. The good news is the season does not end today. If it did, they would be just barely out. But we're approaching the halfway mark, and they have a record of 20, 14, and 4, good for 44 points, which is the same number of points that the Panthers have, and they are in the final wild card spot. They are 21, 15, and 2. Sabres are 20, 14, and 4. Both have 44 points. Sabres' goal differential is now at 0. They're not up, they're not down, they're just nothing. But they've won their last 9 games. They play again tomorrow night with an opportunity to potentially get themselves into a playoff spot with most of the season, half of the season still remaining. They play 82. They've played 38, so 41 would be half of the games. Their next game will put them at 39. So they're coming up on that. But they have undone the damage that was done with losing early. How bad was it? It's every year they've got this, 10 or 12 game stretch where they win once, and it kills them. But they never have nine wins in a row like they do right now. No blowouts either. They had a 4-1 win over the Bruins the other day, but 4-2, 4-1, 3-2, 3-1, 3-2, 5-3, 3-1, 3-2, 4-3. That's all it takes. They went on the road. They won 3 straight. It started in Edmonton. They won in Edmonton, then in Vancouver, then in Seattle, came home and won twice. Then they won in New Jersey and in Ottawa, home against the Bruins, at St. Louis yesterday, at the Dallas Stars tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, New Year's Eve game. Lindy Ruff coaching against his former team. 2 teams ago for him, but still. So there's a little something there. I'm trying to find how bad did it get this year. I'm sure there was a stretch. Yeah, there it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They lost 5 in a row. They lost 8 games out of 9. When you lose 8 games out of 9, you need a 9-game winning streak to set it back. And they've done that. And they've been okay other than that. And this is when I had Paul Hamilton on the show last week. This is kind of what we talked about. Every time I tune in, they seem all right. They don't seem great. They don't seem terrible, but they seem like a team in the league, and that has not been the case for the entirety of this drought. Very often, it looks like they are playing a different sport than the teams that are actually competing for the cup. And it doesn't look like that this year, so I was like, what's up? And Paul, at the time, they had won, I don't know, maybe they had won 4 in a row when I talked to Paul. He's like, they've got to get this, they needed 10 in a row. If they get 10 in a row, they're going to be back in the conversation. Well, they've got 9. And they're back in the conversation, and it's awesome. But I don't want to pester Paul again. We just had Paul on. I don't have another hockey person right now. Once football's over and John Warrow becomes hockey guy for AP, then we can have him on, because we did this multiple times last season, where the Sabres would win 3 games in a row, and I'd call him and be like, "Hey, John, is this anything?" And he'd say, "No, it's not." And then we would talk about music. We talk about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or the Grammys or whatever. 10 is something. Well, 9. 9 and 10 are the same, right? Message here from Mike. Last time I played a Turkey Bowl game, the next day was like I played a full season in the NFL. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I fell on the... I don't recommend falling on a street at all, icy or not. That's all I did. I slipped. Smacked down. I caught myself a little bit. I got right here hurt, I don't know if you call that the heel of your hand, but I kind of caught myself on that. When I fell, I kind of went left. So my knee got all bloody. You want to see my bloody knee? I could show it to you. I'm not gonna do that. It's gross. So that's the thing that I was most worried about was, oh no, what if I bleed out and die? I wasn't going to bleed out and die. But my pants were sticking to my leg when I was driving, and I could smell the blood and taste the blood. I couldn't see the blood. But then when I got home, I looked at it, and it was gross. But I cleaned it. I put Neosporin on it. I put a giant Band-Aid on that didn't stick at all. And since then, I've just been... It's fine. It's on the part of the body that bends. So the scab won't just form. It just kind of Every time I move, it sucks. Like yesterday, I sat in this chair for 2 hours doing the show. And when I got up, I went, ah! It hurt a lot because I kind of undid the settling that had happened on my knee. But then this morning I woke up, and I'm not thinking about the knee at all. I'm just thinking about, in general, it feels like I, again, was in a fist fight with a monster. Like it sucks, man. It sucks. Bob Gaughan is going to join us at some point during the show. In fact, that might be moments from now. Let's do that. We're going to hear from Bob Gaughan in just a minute. I'm going to take a break. We're going to play a song or two, and we'll hear from Bob Gaughan. How's that sound? That sounds great to me. Does that sound great to you? All right. Thank you for tuning in. It's episode 234 of Writer Radio. And because I'm doing this myself, oh, no, I just closed the thing. You can't hear any music if I close the thing. I closed the thing. I apologize for that. I also have no locked-in plan for the rest of the week. I'm going to not do a show on New Year's Day, that's for sure. I'm going to maybe do a show tomorrow, and I'm going to maybe do a show on Friday. But the kids are still off. It's still a massive... I don't like these weeks. We're through 1.5 of them. But some of the stuff has been canceled. We were supposed to have basketball tomorrow. Drew was supposed to have basketball today. That got canceled. We were supposed to have Nate basketball, which I coach, tomorrow. And Zach basketball, which I don't coach, but it's going to be together, same gym, like an hour apart. So that was going to preclude tomorrow's show from happening. Now, due to weather, fears of weather, not due to actual weather, just fears of weather. That's where we live in 2025. We cancel things because it might snow. There's no basketball. There is some sort of activity today, but that's at 1 o'clock. That doesn't have any impact on your life, just mine. So I do have to get to the kids somewhere for 1 o'clock today, I think, unless that's been canceled and I have not been informed, but I don't think that's true. So I think we've got that. But yeah, they're not only are they home, they're home and they have activities, and those activities are being canceled. So the whole schedule is just shifting all over the place. And to be quite honest, as my own boss here at Writer Radio, I can just choose to not do a show sometimes, and it makes it easier to not do some shows this week. So I'm not positive. We're doing today for sure. Here I am. We're definitely not doing Thursday. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe Friday. Not positive. See if it makes sense. All right. So next, I understand you probably have. There's a decent chance you're affected by these holidays and kids being off and that sort of thing. So let's keep the date for next Monday, when everything is just back up and running, full speed ahead. It'll be 2026, and it'll be the new starting point here for Writer Radio. No promises for the rest of this week. Is that fair? We good? Okay, I'm going to pick a song. I'm going to pick it myself. From Writer Radio, the playlist, available on Spotify. David Lee Roth is tempting, just like Paradise, but David Lee Roth. Fish is tempting. R.E.M. is tempting. Herb Alpert is tempting. Ooh. But now we're going Canadian. We're going to go a little Canadian. We'll be right back with Bob Gaughan. Stick around. I'm Brad. It's Writer Radio. Writer Radio continues. It's episode, 2 million? No, 234 is the correct date, or the correct number, the date being 12/30/2025. This might be the last show of the week of the year 2025, but why would you ever do a last show of the year or the week even without talking to Bob Gaughan, our good friend Bob Gaughan, the grinder? What's up, man?
Hey, Brad, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
The weather is not good.
It's confusing. It's very confusing to me.
And I had to drive my wife's car, so newer car, and I don't know if your car has this, and that is the ability to tell you when you're not in the right lane.
No, I don't have that. My car doesn't tell me anything.
Right. Well, here's the deal. So my car doesn't have that. So I drive her car, and it's in the bad weather. This is when you need it, though. I need it in the bad weather.
Well, I can't see the lane, so help me out, car.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it can't sense the lanes either. So it wasn't helping me.
That's a great point. Yeah.
it wasn't helping me when I needed it the most. So it tells me, like, in July when I might be drifting because whatever, I'm drifting, but I don't need it in July. I can see everything.
Yeah.
But when there's ice on the lane and it can't sense the lanes because it can't see it either. Right. So this has the ability to have something that is actually useful, but I found it wasn't useful when I needed it the most.
AI is imperfect at best. It is helpful, sort of, but it also sort of only knows the things that we don't need it to know. Like, I need help with other things, and it's helping me with stuff that I've got under control. And then when I don't have it under control, it's not helping. I had a thing a couple weeks ago, Bob. I do PA for wrestling at UB. So I parked between Alumni Arena and UB Stadium and like the Merch Family Fieldhouse, that whole thing. I parked there, and I parked based on where everyone else was parked. And I have a truck, like a, regular sized truck. It's not some monster thing, but I have a pickup truck. And I drove and I parked based on how everyone else was parked because of the fact that you couldn't see any lines at all. There was snow on the whole parking lot. By the time I came out, 3 hours later, it had warmed up, snow had melted, a bunch of cars had left. I have never looked dumber than the way my car was parked. It was parked in 4 spots. I was diagonally placed between 4 spots, 2 to the back, 2 to the front, 1 to the left and right. It was horrible. And no amount of AI or assist cameras or anything would have helped. I had to just deal with life. I parked the way that life made me park.
It is. I mean, it seems like the technology, some of the technology, I know we talked about this in the past, by the way, they're getting away from this. The touch screen, everything is touch screen. There were a couple of car makers, because so many people like myself hated it, that they're getting away with it. They want to go back to knobs, and things like that. Because that's it doesn't take me 20 minutes to, change from AM to FM or whatever.
Right. No, I'm
radio
on that.
station.
Great.
So that's going back. So sometimes, again, there is technology. It is helpful in many areas. I'm not this old geezer, man, I still don't own a computer. I'm not that guy.
No,
I really am.
You're trying.
I'm trying, but I want things that are helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that, oh my God, I'm driving my wife's car. This is going to be helpful. And then it doesn't help me. And it makes me more infuriated than if I didn't have, if I was driving my car and I didn't even have that technology, I wouldn't even brought it up. But the technology supposedly exists, but it's not helpful when you need it. Crazy.
We have 2 vehicles, and just to give you an idea, it's about feel. Like, I want to be able to. I know, I've had my truck. It's probably a 2021 truck, so I've had it for 4 or 5 years. I know where all the stuff is. I don't have to look. I've got the feel. We have a van also that is a 2016. So we've had this thing for 10 years. But it's my wife's vehicle. My wife's vehicle is what I tried to say. And I drive it a lot. Like, we're all going somewhere. We take the van because that's why you have it. I've got 3 kids. That's why we use it. But that's when I drive it. She knows it better than I do. But even having it for 10 years, when we're driving, if it's like, this type of weather, and we're leaving someplace, we're leaving a baseball game late at night, I have to ask her to defog the window or the windshield. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know where the stuff is. The radio remote feels like not remote, but the radio dial feels exactly like the heat dial, and it's exactly the fan, and they're all in the same. I don't know, but at least there's something to grab, as opposed to driving. And you're not supposed to look at your phone, but I am allowed to look at this screen to try to touch this thing that says that. Screw that, man. I don't want anything to do with any of that anymore. I want to just get back to life where we hold things instead of just touching things.
I will say there is one aspect of her car that I do appreciate, and I wish I had it in my car, and that is because the sensor comes on for me when I have low tire pressure,
Yeah.
but I have no idea what tire it is, you know? So I'm going to, now with her car, with, again, the newer car, it will tell you exactly what tire is low.
Right.
That is useful.
Yeah.
That is absolute. I wish I had that, because what I'm doing is I'm just hunting and pecking. It's like, let's try this. And of course, with all technology now, all the tires none of them look like they're low.
No, they're
to me,
fine. They all look fine.
They all look fine.
You can't possibly look at it and figure that out. I've got that actually on my truck, which is a 21. I do have that, so I get the little. This is funny. I got new tires maybe a month ago, and I think 2 days later is the day it got cold, and then suddenly the pressure light came on. But mine does have a thing. I have to navigate to it to find it. I bet if I bought a newer truck, it wouldn't have that, but I have to navigate and find it. And I saw, this one's at 38, this one's at 37, this one's at 39, this one's at 32. And I'm like, all right, rear passenger side, got it, and fixed it. But that is very, very helpful, because just saying, hey, you've got one of 4 problems. Good luck. And it always happens when it's so friggin' cold outside that filling the tires is a massive pain, and your hands are freezing, and you know whether you have a compressor or you go to a place to do it, it sucks. So having that little piece of information is very helpful. All right, Bills game.
Boy, isn't it good to lose a different way?
Yeah,
if you're going to lose, I'm used to losing and the defense stinks and Josh Allen is great.
Right.
Hey, wait a minute now.
Josh missed.
Josh missed. Josh wasn't great, and the defense was great.
Yeah.
I felt like, oh wow, this is a little different, and it almost, if you're going to lose, I felt like this is a different way to lose. The other thing I felt was that it's not the end of the world, because I almost would rather play New England than in Baltimore. I don't want to play Derrick Henry. I thought the Bills were lucky to win in Week 1, and if he's back to normal, and Lamar and the way he looked on Saturday night, I don't want to play that guy.
Yeah.
Not that not that going into New England you can't lose either. But if given the choice, going into Baltimore, which I think Baltimore will beat Pittsburgh, maybe I'm wrong, or going into New England, I almost would choose going into New England. I would rather than going into Baltimore.
Well, you're clearly making several assumptions, but because it's not like it's. Are they playing Baltimore or New England? There's still a Denver factor. There's still a Baltimore factor. There's a Pittsburgh factor. There's a New England. Obviously, we just said that. There's a Jacksonville thing. There's a lot that can happen, because you can be 7, you can be 5. A couple teams can be 1. A couple teams can be 2. So there's a lot going on. But generally speaking, I only hate Houston right now. And watching. I feel a little better after watching them play this weekend, because I watched them go up 14-0 and be like, oh my God, think of that defense. And they're able to do this. But I don't think they throw on the Bills in that way. And I don't think their defense is the same with the injuries they've suffered. So, but of the teams that scare me, I'm kind of at Houston, which I think is probably good. And then there's a Jacksonville thing where the Bills have played them twice in the playoffs, and both times it sucked. So that's just me. That's not the team. That's not the current situation. But I don't know.
When you compare Houston, there is the common thread between Houston and Philly is the elite defensive lines. The Bills' offensive line, to me, looks above average, looks great, except when they're going up against elite defensive lines, and then they don't look elite at all.
Right.
And that's what happened, I think, against Houston, and that's what happened against Philadelphia as well. They were going up against studs.
Yeah, your B plus O line is awesome until you play A plus.
Yes, and that's again, you couldn't get the running game going, and then it's all on the passing game, and receivers don't get open, and Josh is still a little banged up, which is another factor. He's got to get healthy. He's got to be able to move in order for Josh to be Josh, and I don't think the last couple of weeks he is, and I think that even affected that last pass, because I don't think his ankle is right. And when it's not right, then he's not nearly as accurate. And again, of course, they would have won the game if they had a kicker.
Right.
I mean, let's forget about that. Is it the curse of OJ? We put number 32 on the third kicker of the year that we had for 2 weeks. I mean, I don't know.
They cut him today. He's gone.
They cut
or yesterday.
They cut.
Gone.
Yeah, and he should be gone because they had to go for 2, and I don't think anybody had a problem with it because nobody had.
That's right. Because honestly, if you just had a regular kicker, if you had, we'll start with Bass, and then we'll move on to Prater, and then we get to Badgley. If they just had any faith that they could get the point there, like, to me, you go for 2 when you're on the road, when you're UB playing at Texas, and you have the chance to skip overtime and score 2 points and win, you do that. When you're the Bill, if you're the better team and the other team hasn't completed a pass in the first or the second half, and they've got 17 yards, whatever it was, you would just kick it, but not believing that you could kick it. It, to me, is the issue, and that's why you do it. And I've got no complaints at all with McDermott making that decision. It's fine. But in real life, when you're just playing a football game with a kicker that's actually on your team, when the extra point is assumed, I absolutely would have kicked it. But I get entirely why they didn't. And they had a play that worked. And Josh missed, and Josh never misses. And it was Shakir, and he never drops it. It all was fine. It just didn't happen. So I don't know. I came out of the game. We talked to Fuller yesterday, and I came out of the game thinking, cool, the Bills are fine. Like, there was some stuff that happened, but you were playing against a powerhouse type of team, and it didn't quite work out, and you were playing in a swamp, and it was gross and snowy and windy and rainy, and windy and terrible. And I don't know. I'm okay with it. I feel fine, but I would like to see Josh a little more mobile. You can tell he's not him, and I don't want that in his head. I think that's showing a little bit, but take the Jets game off, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Wouldn't you almost feel worse if you were in Philly as an Eagles fan?
Yes.
I mean, do the Eagles realize our defense stinks? And they went. Hurts went 0 for 7 in the second half.
Yeah.
Didn't complete one pass. I mean, I expected Barkley to run for 250 yards or
that was weird.
something, and he didn't run for anything. I'm telling you, if I'm an Eagles fan,
yep.
you might have some problems when you come up with against even better defenses than the Bills, and that shouldn't be too hard to do in the playoffs.
Well, talking to John Fuller yesterday. Bills fans and Eagles fans are absolutely living parallel lives. It's like, they play one half of football and then they can't play the other half of football. I'm like, yeah, I know. I've seen that a lot, like a ton. The first half is invisible, and then the second half they come back and it's really hard. So I'd like to see them play each other in the Super Bowl, because I believe in that team. Like, that is a super talented, interesting, fun team, and I think the Bills are too. And I don't want any of these young punks jumping in. These, I guess the Rams are a little veteran-y, but like the Niners, the Jaguars, the Chargers, the Texans, like, get out of here. Adults are about to play in the Super Bowl, and if adults are playing in the Super Bowl, it's Bills and it's Eagles, and I like that. I like that matchup.
I do too. Let's move to college football if we can.
Please.
Talk about some of these things that are going on. By the way, what happened in Michigan, or Kyle Whittingham, I don't know if people realize, that was kind of interesting. He announced like 2 years ago that his last year was going to be 2024 at Utah. The end of 2024, he goes back. They had the coach in waiting. Like, he was one of those, this is my coach. He goes back after last year and says, I really want to coach one more year. Okay? So they give him one more year. Now, but this is it, right? This is it.
Do they keep paying the other guy like the Sabres pay Dan Dunleavy?
Right. So then after this year, he's like, I really want to coach longer. Well, wait a minute. You told us that this is it. So we got the coach in waiting. Yeah, so we got the coach in waiting, and then he goes to Michigan, and I don't know, what staff he's going to bring over, but I assume he might bring over. I feel bad for Utah is what I'm saying. I think that they got played. They got played. They definitely got played here by Whittingham. But
I don't think he meant to do it either, though. Like, he probably didn't mean to do it. it was unforeseeable what was happening with Michigan. To have that job be open at this time of year is insane. So they don't have the ability to search for a coach in the same way that a regular team would have. I don't know. I'm not trying to rain on your parade here, but I don't see him as a villain in this situation. I don't see Michigan as a villain. It's just like, Jesus, what are we supposed to do with what happened with Moore? Like, he's got to go. Now we got to fill it. We're 2 weeks behind on signing day. Like, ugh. So they went for 66 years old? Is that right, with Whittingham? It's like they went the opposite way of where everyone else is going in college football, which is young. I love that, like, UB hired Lembo. Perfect. I want a dude my age coaching the team, because I know, Bob, and you're my age, I know we're smarter than the people younger than us, and I know we haven't lost it like the people older than us. These are the people I like. So this guy is 66, a little bit older, but I get it, and I like it. I'm not mad at anybody, but it sucks.
Well, somebody of our age would have to be upset, and I saw little outrage. We talked about this months ago, the end of the Notre Dame-USC rivalry.
Yeah.
It happened this week, and I think it went with like a whisper. Nobody even talked about 99 years. They couldn't even make 100. They couldn't even play one more year to make 100 years, but I think Notre Dame not making the playoff. I think Texas not making the playoff. USC said we're not playing one more tougher game this year. It doesn't benefit us, so it just went away. And again, as I mentioned when we talked about this a couple months ago, USC coming east always was a big deal. Now that they're in the Big Ten, it's not that big of a deal anymore.
Right.
So that game just with maybe even people didn't even see it, but it went away, and they're going to, I guess, reconsider maybe in 5 years or something. Forget it. It's over.
Quitting at 99 is the worst. I've never heard of anything ever quitting at 99. Like, come on. Have some respect for things that have happened before you and fix that. That's gross. Ugh. I didn't know about that until now. So, sorry. Sorry for my exhaustion with the whole situation. I apologize.
That's all right. By the way, for the playoff, the one thing I would like, and again, there's some great games coming up this week. I think Texas Tech isn't getting the respect. I kind of like Texas Tech over Oregon. Oregon is the favorite, 2.5. You might be able to get it at 3. Oregon, when you look at it, I mean, their two toughest games, they lost to Indiana a couple of times. They beat Penn State. Who cares? I think Texas Tech, in the Big 12 in general, didn't get the respect they deserved. They beat better teams. Just beating BYU a couple of times, I think, was tougher. So I'll take Texas Tech in one of the big games coming up in a couple of days.
All right, let me ask you about, real quick, we'll be done after this, but I am very uncomfortable as a not nearly as locked in college football guy as you or Scott Wilson. I'm very uncomfortable with Indiana being the top team in the country. So what am I supposed to think about that team, about that quarterback, about that coach, and about their chances of winning it all? Because, like, there's no part of me that thinks after this tournament that's going to be the team that wins it. But I don't know, because I don't watch enough. I watch all the UB games with you guys. I watch all the things I need to watch, but I'm busy. So what's up with Cignetti, with the quarterback, with the team? Like, I know they beat Ohio State. I watched that game.
Yeah.
I still, if it comes down to a championship game between Ohio State and Indiana, I'm assuming Ohio State. But I don't know. So help me.
Well, first of all, Cignetti, Google me. I mean, that was one of the great things, as it was it not, from a couple of years ago when he winds up getting the job after James Madison, and it just showing that he's been a winner wherever he goes. So he's got that. He's a great coach. There's no question. You also have the Heisman Trophy winner. But I think the biggest difference between last year and this year, Indiana team, is how they hit the portal and their defense and the lines. the offense and defensive lines. I thought that they got pushed around last year when they played Ohio State, when they played Notre Dame in the tournament. They're not getting pushed around this year. If you watch the game against Ohio State, they didn't get pushed around at all.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest improvement between last year and this year is I respect the offense and defensive lines a lot more. I've already respected the coach. And now I've got the Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback, even though I don't really think he's that great. But I don't think any quarterback is that great. He might be the best of a bad lot when it comes to the draft next year. But do I like him better than I like the Ohio State quarterback? Yeah, probably so. So that's what I got going for. I think I got a great coach. I think I've got the best quarterback, even though it might be close. And I think I've got offense and defensive lines that can finally compete where I didn't think they could compete last year. So they got a shot. That's for sure.
But it feels crazy that Indiana is in the conversation. Like what are we talking about? We've never. You're older than me by a couple years. Has Indiana football ever been a part of your conversation? Ever?
No. The last time they were in the Rose Bowl was the year I was born. 1967.
Okay.
So that's how long it goes. No, not in my lifetime. Not in my lifetime have they been relevant.
Right, and good
You're
for them.
absolutely right.
I appreciate that. Good for them. That's cool. But it just makes everything seem crazy, as everything is always changing, and then that changes, and now it's like, oh yeah, Indiana's the best. And I assumed Ohio State would beat them, and they didn't in the Big Ten championship game. But they didn't. So here we are. All right. Good enough.
Well, that's the way it is in college football. Now we have to. Our whole lives, we thought about certain things. We've talked about the traditions. Well, there's no way Ohio State would lose to Indiana.
Yeah.
But everything's upside down now with the NIL, with the transfer portal, and it's crazy. And you would think Curt Cignetti, well, let's take it one step further. Curt Cignetti stayed at Indiana rather than taking the Penn State job or wherever.
Right.
That's ridiculous. That would never have happened in our lifetime. It would never have, and it did. And he's staying there because he thinks, so this is important, he thinks he's got just as good of a chance of winning at Indiana as he does at Penn State or any of the other jobs that were open.
Well, so why would you ever leave a place where you're number one in the friggin' playoffs? Like you're the one seed. Why would you? You're in the best spot. You're doing it fine. Right? Like what could, I guess, money could convince you? But why would you leave that? Why would you leave? You did this. Cignetti did this. Why would he leave that? Like, there's no reason for it. Like, we're number one. We beat Ohio State. Like, let's just. What's the best job? All right, all of college football. What's the best? If every coach got fired today, what's the best job? Probably Ohio State. Like, probably or Bama. Probably Ohio State. This guy just beat them. How are you going to talk him out of leaving the place he's in to come to your place where he just beat Ohio State? He's won. Well, but bear in mind, it's the championship or nothing now, which I don't know. Well, if you're at Michigan, if you're at Wingham, he knows you better make the playoff because if you don't make the playoff, you're getting replaced. If you're at Ohio State, you don't make the playoff, you're getting replaced. See, I don't know at Indiana. If he doesn't make the playoff next year, I don't think Cignetti's getting replaced. If Clark Lee doesn't make the playoff, he's fine with Andy. Yeah,
he's fine. So maybe that's where they're looking and saying, you know what? In this crazy, I got a little more wiggle room here than I would if I did take the Penn State job or the Michigan job.
Right.
So that's why he stayed too.
Right, and that also, and I'm not trying to keep you on the phone forever, Bob, but that's also why having Pete Lembo is pretty cool at UB, because I think he gets all of that. There's all of this shifting that's happening, and he's just like, you know what? I would like to establish kind of an old school just loyalty system here and be around. And that's who he is. So had the Bulls won, 4 more games this year, and he was eligible to be one of these people or, attractive to large programs, I think that's a part of it. The whole system is about keeping I don't know, people together. And I think that's what Pete is. So I didn't mean to twist this into a UB thing, but I kind of did, and I kind of lost my train of thought too. But
it's old school, though.
No,
I totally understand. It's, in this day and age when everything's going one way, you're going back to old school. You're talking about, commitments. One of the reasons why when it comes to bowl season, I pick a lot of the bowl seasons. I always pick Army and Navy. Why?
Yeah.
Because I know who's going to play. Everybody. And I know they're going to give an effort, right? But again, last year, what was the third team that brought the same team in late November to the bowl game? It was UB. So Pete Lembo was doing something old school, and that has to be respected. That the guys respected the program enough where they were going to play. Everybody was going to play in the bowl game. So yeah, I know I love what Lembo is doing because it is kind of the way I want it to be. And it's the way it was, and it's the way that very few people are doing it now.
Yeah. We can be unique by being old school. And I think that's kind of cool. All right. Thank you, Bob. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, you got it. All right. Thanks, Brad.